Welcome back, Love Nation. This is the final section of the It Ends With Us lawsuit that Blake Lively filed. And this last section is just going over the exhibits, most of which we have actually already discussed. So I will not be covering that in depth. I just wanted to show you guys a couple of things. And again, feel free to pause this, screenshot it, etc. And again, this will be the final video as we have reached the end of this document. This one is from Lindsay Strasberg to Amin Mizian, Joseph Lanius, and copied to David Weber. And this is marked subject confidential for Blake Lively. It Ends With Us, dated Thursday, November 9th of 2023. Dear Amin and Joseph, with the tentative resolution of the SAG-AFTRA strike, we are writing to address how to handle a return to the set of It Ends With Us, the film. It is no surprise to the film's producers that the experience of shooting the film has been deeply concerning on many levels. The complaints of our client and others have been repeatedly conveyed and well documented throughout pre-production and photography. While we reserve all legal rights, at this stage, our client is willing to forego a more formal HR process in favor of everyone returning to work and finishing the film as long as the set is safe moving forward. In order for our client to feel safe returning to the production, we are attaching a list of protections that will need to be guaranteed and observed by the film's producers. If the production is unwilling to accept or uphold these protections, our client is prepared to pursue her full legal rights and remedies. This letter is not intended to constitute a full statement of all facts and circumstances related to this matter. It is not intended to be, nor should it be construed as a waiver, release, or relinquishment of any of our client's rights or remedies, legal or equitable, all of which are hereby expressed reserved. Sincerely, Lindsay Strasberg, Esquire. Now, the other ones mention the protections for return to production. And again, I actually read this in a earlier video. I believe it was part 1. So if you have not seen this in full, this was in part 1. I've already read this, so I am not going to reread it. If you need to, just please pause it. Again, we have already read that section. These are her work protections to return to work. And there were several. Also, Exhibit B. Exhibit B, we scroll down here. This is a contractual agreement, and it's discussing the movie. Again, It Ends With Us, and it is describing what is needed and deemed to be appropriate in the agreement. And again, we've actually discussed this already. It concerns needing an intimacy coordinator, how they want rehearsals and filmings and reviewing a video playback, no spontaneous adult scenes that are not rehearsed, no physical touching unless it's in commitment to the actual acting. Also request that nobody enter and interrupt her while she's dressing. Filming the artist, with no clothes on. Again, we've already discussed this earlier, and I believe that this was either in part 1 or part 2. So I'm not going to read this all again. But again, this was part of the exhibits. This is Exhibit B, and as you guys can see, it was signed by James Heath, president of the production, and it was signed by Blake Lively. Then we're going to move down here. What is called the writer. And I'm still scrolling. Here we go. And again, this is information that shows the document history, who viewed it, who signed it. I'm assuming that this is probably all of those updated documents for the protections that she requested, again, which were all signed by the appropriate person that needed to sign it for this production. Now we're going to move down to Exhibit C. Exhibit C is basically discussing what the movie is about, like a brief summation, and is talking about a short version of the film and an overview of what it's about, what they need to be doing, and etc. Just like reading the back of like a paperback novel. So this is basically describing the focus of the book, focus on, I guess, what the film was going to be doing, talking about what to focus on while out doing press, what to avoid discussing, how to discuss women's personal experiences with relationships, DV, etc., making it a story about hope, discussing authentic representation of DV, only if asked, and they're discussing lack of diversity in the cast. Wow. All right, and Exhibit D. And again, this is going to be a very brief document. I just want to show you guys what's at the end of this document. It's basically talking about scenario planning. This was marked confidential. And it's basically saying objective, protect the representation of Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, and Wayfarer Studios in the lead up during and following the premiere of It Ends With Us, underscore the achievements and efforts of Wayfarer team in bringing this movie to life, and emphasize Justin and the studio's commitment to their team and the broader industry a more inclusive place. And this is basically talking about scenarios. This one is interesting. Overview. Though there are several potential scenarios at play here, which we should be prepared for, should Blake Lively and her team make her grievances public via a blatant story of subtle leak, given she was made to compromise with the premiere, we feel she will move forward with doing so. Our recommendation is to get ahead of this narrative, owning any misconceptions and addressing them head on. Ultimately, we need to be ready to take the air out of any story that does arise, as well as commentary and or background narrative Blake Lively and her team put together without being the louder antagonizer. The tag team will continue to media monitor, flag, and respond to any media proactively reaching out, reporting on the issues, and will send regular reports on existing chatter that may arise. Additionally, our team's digital experts will continue to monitor and flag any online content related to the crisis and or mitigate if false narratives begin in the digital space. And this is talking about the crisis mitigation. You guys can pause this and screenshot it if you need to. They're talking about preparation of material here and the purpose of their team's advocacy, and then key messaging points. And again, we discussed this earlier in the document. However, again, I just want to show you guys the full scope of what's going on here. This is interesting. I'm actually reading this one bulletin. It says when Blake Lively wasn't able to get her way on set or behind the scenes, she involved her husband to create the imbalance of power between her and JB, JB being Justin Baldoni. RR went so far as to use his power to talk about Ryan Reynolds, went so far as to use his power to call agents and agencies, Sony and other key players so that Blake Lively would get her way. Blake Lively's less than fortunate reputation in the industry spans decades and has been reported. There were issues on Gossip Girl, The Town, A Simple Favor, and more. Wow. Okay. Then this is highlighting the if-then plan of action. This is talking about scenario 1. Blake and team push out negative stories about Justin and Wayfair post-premiere. And they're talking about recommending planting a seed early on to position your truth narrative around the ordeal in a subtle way to avoid having to backtrack. An idea for this is working alongside Jen as giving a friendly reporter who is covering the film a simple line hinting that while you and Blake didn't always agree at times, had our differences, you have respect for her. This way, if Blake Lively's stories are softer, we don't look so aggressive. If it's a hit piece, then we've teed up reporters properly that there were issues with her. We would also ensure the story is broader about the film, inspiration, etc., so the line is one part of a larger piece. If her team is working on a longer lead, negative narratives, we would be given a short heads up in advance of the story and would, alongside Jen, correct inaccuracies in fact-checking, mitigate false narratives, and point reporters toward third-party advocates that will speak positively on their behalf. I don't know why this turned purple. Again, this is the end of the document explaining the different scenarios. Scenario 2, let me go back up there. Again, I don't know why this sheet is purple. Scenario 2, Blake subtly hints at her experience in post-premiere coverage, either in an interview, op-ed, or otherwise. And this says, our prediction is that Blake Lively's address her experience on set in upcoming press. She will not name you directly, but rather pepper in Easter eggs, alluding to your involvement, being mindful not to completely jeopardize her potential involvement with the film's sequel, while still planting seeds of doubt and speculation, especially among the passionate fan base. Blake Lively and her team have already begun to plant seeds around this and assisting promotion be kept separate. Fans have already begun to speculate on socials that something is amiss. We've already discussed a lot of this. Then they have another scenario that can be prepped. Scenario 3, Ryan Reynolds come forward in defense of his wife. And then they're talking about this, and they're saying, should Ryan come forward in defense of Blake, we would advise against any direct engagement, statement, etc. Inquiring reporters and those in need of updating will be given a pre-approved line of background attributed to source, implying his lack of connection or involvement with the making of this film, and that this is another imbalance of power and attempt to strong-arm production by major A-list stars. Wow. Okay, so this is just going through the different scenarios. And then that is the end of the document, you guys. So again, I just want to thank everybody for reading this with me. I know that this was a long document, and I hope it gives you a sense of what happened with It Ends With Us. Please like, share, subscribe, and share this video. Till next time, be safe. Bye, guys.